right,
Well,
so here we go.
Friday, I just sent an email to you saying, is it happy hour yet?
Oh, I can't wait for that. All right.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's Melissa Martinez with the Pulaski County Health Department here again, and it is Friday. So you know what that means. It's Fit Friday, and we're talking all things fitness. So today I have the really, really big blessing of sitting down with Melissa Bondy, who is the race director of the Bass Pro Fitness Series. So Melissa, can you introduce yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about the Bass Pro Fitness Series?
Well, absolutely. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. As Melissa said, I too am Melissa, and the Bass Pro Shops Fitness Series is in its 15th year this year. We're very excited about that. It's, as the name implies, a series of events designed to get people active in the great outdoors. So our goal through our kids series, which offers 4 different distances for children a couple times a year, working with the school system to help promote kids activity in and out of school. And then moving on to our Tour de Bass cycling event, which offers 5 different distances for folks who like to cycle. We do a variety of training runs and walks with folks. And then we also do something called Run the Rock up at Top of the Rock, which is a 6-mile run, takes you through the cave up there, which is amazing. And then our marathon weekend events, which happen here in Springfield, 5K, marathon relay, half marathon, and of course a full marathon. And then our Dogwood Canyon trail runs, 15K, 25K, and 50K. So we do a lot of different fitness events. You can walk or run or cycle in those. And our overall goal, again, is to kind of encourage people to love being active, especially active in the outdoors. And it's all not for profit. So the proceeds from our events go back to support local charities.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Now, you guys have given throughout the years thousands and thousands of dollars. I know the Ozark Greenways gets a lot of that money, and some other charities, but everything that you guys donate to is to improve this, Springfield, and I think that's wonderful. I know as a runner myself, I'm always looking for races where I can give back.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Our giving aligns with the mission of Bass Pro Shops, and that includes children. We do a lot with children's charities, and we work a lot with local children's charities and other events that support that too. That's an investment in the long-term health and well-being of our community, our family. So those are key pieces to how we operate and what we like to focus on.
I love that you said that because, I would like to hit on that through our Healthy Futures Pulaski County. Our focus is, one of the main focus that we have is our Active Kids program, which is adolescents committed to improvement via exercise. And as you and I both know, the earlier you can get a child started with good habits, especially with discipline, the better off they get as adults, because they make better choices. So why is that important to Bass Pro Fitness Series? And what are some ways that you guys are really working to get the kids active?
Well, I think when it comes back to it, Bass Pro Shops' mission is focused on conservation in so many ways. And we look at that from a natural perspective, and we readily understand that. You and I both are lovers of being outside.
Yes.
In the woods or wherever we can be, as long as it's outdoors. But the added element of that is the element of human conservation. And you can't have conservation of the great outdoors unless we take responsibility for ourselves as human beings first and foremost. And that means we have an obligation to be healthy. As parents, we have an obligation to role model that for our children whenever we can. We're all far from perfect. So that doesn't mean that parents need to be able to go run a half marathon or a marathon. That's not the point. The point is, do you walk? Do you encourage your children to stay active? And we made a decision years ago that we wanted to be a group that positively influenced children, because first of all, our children are generally unhealthy right now. We've got a obesity epidemic that spans across generations, but it's certainly impacting all levels of our society. And so starting with children and teaching them, first of all, that this is fun. We have for too long, I worked with teachers who used to make kids do push-ups or run as punishment. And we have to reframe that thought process. Those should be benefits. You know, you get an extra 5 minutes of recess and you get to go play. We need to rethink the way that we think about physical activity because, you know, it is fun. And that is how we get invested in it, when we can find the reward in it.
Oh, I love that you said that. Hey, let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's talk about, you know, a lot of people, one of the reasons that they don't start is because, you know, it might be intimidating to them. But like you said, you know, if you do it right, exercise can be a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun, especially if you have like-minded individuals with you. Or I always say, if you can pick a goal. And so in order to not make your goals too big, let's talk about a small goal and ways that we can reach it. Because, you know, I teach the Couch to 5K program. It's one of my favorites. It's like, I always joke that it's your gateway drug to the marathon, you know, because it just kind of starts the ball rolling. But people look at it, you know, it's much easier. We break it down, you know, walking intervals. Let's talk about, and I know I've been to lots of your races and there's a lot of walkers. How can we encourage people to just start that and say, you know, it's okay. Walking is great. You don't have to start off sprinting.
Well, I think the first thing to do is in our own minds, we need to get rid of the fear. The fear is what holds us back most in life. Fear that we're not going to be good enough, fear that we're not going to be able to finish something, fear that other people are going to make fun of us or laugh at us. There's just a lot of fear of the unknown when you start something that you've not done previously, or maybe you haven't had a lot of success with things like that in the past. So instead of saying, I'm going to go walk or run or whatever, a mile, you know, the first step is just getting out the door. That's the hardest step. And so then you got to say, way to go. I made it out my door. I am right here and I'm going to walk my neighborhood, or I'm going to walk 5 blocks or something like that. We make things too big in our heads. And then I'll never forget one of my instructors once said, "Thou shalt not should on thyself." And her thought process,
oh, that's good,
to say, you know, we fill our heads with all this negative talk. I should do this. I should be able to do that, you know, and we need to get rid of that. We need to just push it aside and don't should on yourself. I can do this. I'm going to do this. It's really not about should. It's about let's those first steps. And then let's say, all right, excellent, great job. So what's next?
I love that you say, I love that. So let's hit on this too, because we have said, and I tell the runners I coach, this is one of the main things I stress even on the first day, that comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison not only steals our joy, but it steals our dreams, it steals our ambitions, and it steals our goals. The reason being, for whoever's out there listening that may need to hear this today, is that at the end of the day, you're not competing against anybody except yourself. And the only goal, the realistic goal that everybody should have is just to be better tomorrow than we were today. But when we compare ourselves against somebody else, like this person is running a 5K at a 10-minute pace. Well, you know what? You may never be there, and that's okay. But if you compare yourself and say, that's what I'm going to do, when your body isn't capable of it, you know, then it's not going to work. By the same token, if you're capable of an 8-minute mile and your comparison level is 10, then you're robbing yourself of that too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it's kind of like when you get that first, we've talked about this before, you get that first big snow of the winter and you're out there with a shovel and you haven't done any other kind of physical activity right away. You know, you just, so you're out there, you're shoveling, you're working hard, you're sweating, you're out of breath and you're exhausted after a short period of time. You should be exhausted after a short period of time. And you can't expect to be able to jump into anything. And number one, be excellent at it. And number two, look at other people to determine what's possible for you. So I am not a fast runner. I will never be a fast runner. I know where I fit. And I used to, when I was younger, fret about that. My husband can run circles around me, circles. And I always thought I should be faster. But what I've realized is that every step forward is a gift for me. It's not as easy. I have exercise-induced asthma. It took me a long time to be able to figure out a breathing pattern. I'm good now. I'm good after running for 20 some odd years. But when you look at somebody else to determine how you should be, as opposed to what you can just learn from them, then you set yourself up for failure. So you can learn a lot from other people, from watching, from listening. That's great. But when you determine your goals based on somebody else's performance, you will never really accomplish what you're capable of accomplishing, and you won't feel good about it.
Oh, I love that. And two, just like you said, you got me to thinking there too. Sometimes we compare ourselves, and I know some people. I've even had people say this. Melissa, you love to run. I don't like it. I don't like it. And they compare themselves, and they think, oh, this is the only exercise you can do. Not true. Not true. And the minute I say, you know what, you don't have to run, they're like, I don't. No, you can walk it, and I say this, I don't care how long it takes you to get to the finish line. Only thing that matters is you get there from point A to point B. A 20-minute mile is the same as a 6-minute mile. It's the same difference. So let's talk about that. Let's go to the 5K. Let's talk about this. As both of us are race directors, we see people when they cross that finish line. Who has the bigger smile, the person in first or the last place finisher?
I don't think that there's necessarily a huge difference, depending on the situation, and you can add the volunteers to that too, because
definitely
volunteers whom I've worked that have said, I'm going to do that, and I didn't quit smiling, watching everybody from the people who finished first to especially the people who finished last, because they are the inspiration for so many other people. And so, again, I think we get lost in this world, and it's so easy to do. Don't blame yourself for being in that position, but take an honest look, an honest assessment of where you are. Running starts in your head, not in your body. And then it goes to your heart. It hits the other parts of your bodies, but it really starts in those two locations. And walking is the same way, or doing an exercise class, or whatever it is that you might want to do to get more healthy. It really starts with, what do you want? What is the why involved in how you are moving forward? If you want to start exercising because somebody else wants you to do it, you won't stick with it. If you want to start exercising because the why in your head says, I want more for me, I want to be healthier, I want to be able to play with my kids and my grandkids, I want to be able to complete basic chores in an efficient manner where I feel good. The why has to be about you, not about anyone else. That is the key, I think, to long-term success at anything, including staying physically active.
Okay, guys. So obviously people watching this, that's their goal, fitness, and they may be at a starting point where they're actually starting from nothing. So let's go into the 3 steps. We've already got the why. Okay. Once you figure that out, people, whoever's watching this, when you figure out your why, let's figure out your goal. Okay. And the third thing would be, we would figure out your goal. Sorry about that. First we would figure out your why, then you've got to make a goal. Making a goal is important. And then we got to get your how. So you got to get your why, you got to get your goal, and you got to get your how. So Melissa's talked about your why. So what's your goal? So if you've done nothing, a great goal is a 5K. If you've done a 5K, a great goal is a 10K. if you've done the 10K, you can move up to the half marathon. And, if you've done a half, you might even want to go to a full. So what do you think, in your estimation? Okay, we're both race directors. What's a good goal? I mean, you think what I said was a pretty good goal, or you want to expound on that a little bit on the steps?
No, I think, you've got the why, you've got the what you want to achieve your goal, you got it. And then, um, you move on from there as you set those steps in place that allow you to achieve it. And then the other piece that I would say is that, well, there's two pieces to it. First of all is accountability to yourself, and remembering that you're only accountable to yourself when you set those goals. And you are the most important person you don't want to disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to remember that no one is perfect. And so give yourself a little grace and a little mercy, and figure out how you can reach your goal most successfully. And a lot of times that means bringing in somebody else to the process, sharing your goal with someone who may be like-minded, or someone who's a good supporter of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then really being able to have, I find an accountability partner, someone who may want to do it with me, is great. That doesn't always happen, but maybe somebody that I can talk to about it. That to me is also really helpful, because it keeps me in line. It keeps me thinking straight. There's just so many things in life that can get in the way, and we need to figure out a way to make that a priority.
I love that you said that, because let's just throw this out there. We've got a lot of groups in our area, and I know that you do too as well. And if anyone is intimidated by a runner or someone who's been in fitness for a long time, I would love to say this, regardless of why you're intimidated by them. 99% of athletes, especially those who are just like us, we're everyday people, would be more than happy to help you. And we're not the only ones. I mean, you could reach out to anybody in your area, with Facebook and social media now, you could reach out to a local running group. And I guarantee you that there's someone there that would love to help. If you don't have one in your area, you could call some local gyms, you can talk to your health department, but there is somebody out there that wants to help. I guarantee it. I just guarantee it.
Oh, I agree. And even with the internet at this point, there are so many, it's probably overwhelming to people who are beginning, to really be able to put something together off the internet. But there's a free resource out there called acefitness.org, ACEFITNESS.org. And they have an exercise library that is free, with videos that demonstrate how to do the exercises with correct form. There's just a variety of resources that we don't even necessarily think of. We oftentimes will feel when we're trying to work through things like this, but we don't have to. I love your thought. I love the idea of reaching out to a local group. But if you're introverted and you that's a real challenge for you, you have other resources as well.
Okay. I love that. Okay. So now, Melissa, we've kind of talked about the how you can do it and the why you do it, but I want to hit on something else before. If anybody's watching this and not seeing, not seeing the value in taking care of yourself, let's talk about this. Let's talk about how it's not just about the way you feel physically, but it pours over into how you feel mentally and spiritually. Running and exercise, we don't have to get into the science of it, because anybody can look that up, but science has proven, that it does make you feel better. It does make you think better. You perform better. You have more energy. And I'm going to lay science all aside, and I'm just going to give my personal testimony on that. I just feel that I am a better person all around. When I get my exercise, I'm more joyful. I think better. I feel better. How about you?
Oh, completely. I start my day every day with exercise. And I actually do 7 days a week. Not that one of those days is typically not very challenging. It's just a great kind of wind down for me. But that's my time, and very selfish with it because of what it does for me as a person. Emotionally, spiritually, there's nothing like that for me. and it makes me a better person. It makes me absolutely a better person. So I think as a society, we have not valued self-care
Mhm.
very much. And as women, because I'm a woman, I can speak to that more easily, although I do have two boys and a husband. But I don't think that we know how to take care of ourselves very well. And once you become a mom, that changes even more.
Yeah.
Uh, our energies get so put into other resources, and it's all valuable and so important. I'm not telling people not to do that, but at some point, if you don't fill yourself back up, you're going to be in trouble, and no one else can fill you. We look oftentimes to other people, we look to food, we look to sources of comfort, as a way to fill ourselves so that we feel okay and we can get through each day. But the reality of it is, nothing will fill us up outside of ourselves. Certainly, things can support us along the way, but we have to figure out what those sources are, and take advantage of them if we're going to be the best people we can be. And that's, I think, what our events are designed to do. That's the
Mhm.
passion, motivation behind what we do, our purpose. We believe that when people walk, run, cycle, and take part in our events, they're all part of a process that is driving us toward being who we're supposed to be or who we're capable of being.
Wow, I love that. I've been a part of Bass Pro. I ran the Bass Pro Marathon in 2008, and it was the old course where it ended in front of the yeah. And I have a
Okay.
picture. Yes, and I have a picture of me and Luke. Luke was my son was about that big, and the joy of Bass Pro. Luke came back, and as his first half marathon when he graduated high school, we ran the Bass Pro half together, and that's one of the greatest joys I will ever have in my life. So for those people watching, this is an absolutely great event because it is so family oriented. I mean, you see so many families out there, and as someone who's run a lot of races, to have a race director who keeps the course open no matter and when the last finisher finishes. Now, like we talked about before, the finish line may look different, for the last finisher because a lot of times the crowd goes home, but there's a lot of us who stick around. I know there's a big group of us, and that's one of our biggest joys in running races is sticking around and watching the last person finish because it's amazing. And that's what I love specifically about your races is that you guys are there. I mean, you care about, your people from start to finish.
Oh, thank you. And we do. It's my privilege to get to run out to meet the last person or the last group of people that come in, and I don't cross the finish line with them because that's their joy, but I love to visit with them and hear about their journey. And sometimes it's really hard for them. Sometimes they've had just a terrible day, but they have picked themselves up and and finished, in the best possible manner they could finish. And for others, it's a joyful experience, that they're just so grateful to be where they are. Uh,
Hmm.
we all get there. I know I've run races before where I have felt absolutely terrible, and I'm just so grateful that I could crawl across the finish line.
Yeah.
And it's a joyful thing to get to see people and be part of their process as they move forward in such a spectacular way. You
Hmm.
know, 5K or whether it's a marathon, the distance doesn't really matter. It's the perseverance that carries you
Hmm.
through, that gets you to that start line. We focus on the race itself, but really the training that gets you there, that is huge. That is huge. The dedication that you display when you make that decision and you follow through with it. And then to see you at the start and to see you at the finish, wow, that's powerful.
You are so right because by the time a person steps up to the start line, depending on which distance, they could have hundreds and hundreds of miles of training. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's hundreds of miles of reflection and meditation. I mean, you get to know yourself. Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. But
Yeah.
if you got some faults, You know, you're going to point it out to yourself. You're not going to need a therapist because you're going to find it
Yeah.
out when you're out by yourself for hours and hours. Hey, would you agree with me? I want to throw something out here. And I think that you and I've talked about this before too, is that there's something about going to a race, not just training for the sake of training to be fit,
Right.
but competing with other people. You are just not the same person when you step up to the finish line or the start line, somewhere between the start and the finish. Changes take place, massive changes. You know, I just think that you change as a person. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I agree, Melissa. I couldn't agree anymore. You know, you get so excited when you're at the start of an event. You're just waiting there, and you know, most of us go out too fast, and even if we've run lots of races, we'll go out too fast, and we have to slow down during the process. Or what we find as we go through the actual process of the race is that everything we've learned about ourselves in that training process, it comes up. You know, it comes up, and you learn if you're tired. You learn that self-discipline that you've demonstrated through the training process, that value comes in, and the talk that goes in your head isn't "I can't do this." It's "I can do this. I can do this. I over again, I can do this." And the way that you notice things and the way that you look at the other people that are walking and running beside you, you have a deeper appreciation for their journey and for what they're trying to accomplish as well. You realize that you're all in it together. Even though you're solitary, you are still in this whole process with this other group of people trying to meet fantastic goals. And you can't go through all of that without being changed. You just can't. So it's an amazing process to watch and to hear people who have gone through it for the first time, to hear stories. That's just joyful.
It is absolutely joyful because, you know, at the end of the day, and I don't know if you've heard this phrase, I didn't coin it myself, but I truly believe it, is that when it comes to running, especially when you get into the longer distances, that people are either running to something, from something, or for something. I mean, there's always something inside of us that spurs us to get up. And, you know, movement is medicine, and a lot of people use it, you know, for depression or, you know, but people have stories, and generally I talk to runners, and you know, it's a divorce, it's a death, it's some kind of change, it's a midlife crisis, it's something that has spurred them to get moving. Because honestly, I've tried a lot of sports, and running makes you feel alive. It reminds you that you're alive, whether that be from the aches and pains, or whether it be from the endorphin rush, or just the renewed sense of beauty because you smell better, you see better, you hear better when you're outside, right? So running is more than just, gosh, I'm trying to put that into words, but I guess I could come back and just say running's a gift.
Well, and that's why I look at exercise every day as an active, an opportunity for gratitude. That I can get up, that I have freedom of movement, that I can continue to put one foot in front of the other, that I still have coordination that allows me to do that, you know, that I get to be outside. I live in an area where I feel safe being outside. For me, exercising, particularly running, I get it everywhere, but especially from running, it is an opportunity for gratitude. And we all know gratitude builds us. Gratitude is the avenue to joy. When you have gratitude, it's really hard to let all the other difficulties push that gratitude out. Not that the difficulties go away, they don't. But your mental focus changes when you're able to do that. So yeah, every single day that I get to run, I look at as a gift.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree with you more. Hey guys, Melissa, I think we're going to end it on that because I don't think there's much more we can say about that. And I do hope that you and I have inspired someone to, you know, to take that first step to get outside. And like we said, guys, you don't have to run. You can walk, you can bike, we just want you to get out there, and we want you to feel this joy that we're talking about, that you can get through the outdoors and through physical exercise and through fitness. And if you guys need any help, you can reach out to me at the health department. I'd be more than happy to help. 573-736-2217. And look up the Bass Pro Shops Fitness Series, guys. These are great opportunities for you to get involved. And as Melissa knows, guys, we're starting our training groups up here pretty quick, because we always take a big group up for the half marathon and the marathon, and an even bigger group for the 5K. So if you guys are interested, reach out to me. Those programs are free. Those training groups are free. And Melissa, thank you. You know, you are not just someone I know through because you're a race director, but you've become just an awesome friend. And I love you, and I thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, because you're just awesome. So thank you so much.
Oh, right back to you, Melissa. And thanks for sharing the gift of this with others. You know, I think that's really the key. Everybody can be an inspiration to somebody else. Everybody can positively influence someone. So let's take that. Start by positively influencing yourself and spread the joy.
All right, guys, you heard it. Hey, guess what? Happy Fit Friday, everybody. Bye-bye.